to, man, because we're not really been in contact.
No, I know. I mean, ever since we stopped the podcast last time, it wasn't on purpose, but we kind of like just stopped dead with our contact. But um,
Yeah.
working a lot, same shit, different day. Been trying to keep my finger on the pulse of like tech, just
Okay.
to whenever we did come back, just try and make sure keeping up to date with like the whole Ryzen thing.
Right.
Um, Still no real announcements on the GPU yet. The Vega
Uh,
GPU, is it?
yeah. There's a snippet. There's a
I mean,
snippet.
I know they've released the one that's the what are they called?
Vega.
Um, yeah, the workstation one, the
The
workstation card.
non-gaming PC.
Yeah, the non-gaming card. Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah, they released that.
they're
Um,
doing as far as I'm aware, in June in Computex, they've actually giving more details on that actual card, but the
mhm.
consumer version of it that won't come out in June. That'll be probably later on in the year.
Yeah, I
Um,
would have thought
I
so.
would think that would probably be coming with the same time with Volta, perhaps.
Is Volta the one from
Nvidia. Yeah,
Nvidia? Yeah.
yeah. So it just depends. But
Well, isn't Volta supposed to be like another leap
mm,
ahead of what Pascal
yeah,
already is?
I'll tell you what. You definitely going to lead this podcast because I'm even though that I've been keeping on tabs on what's been happening. I'm not been fully focused. So
Yeah,
this
but
seems to be
I wouldn't say fully focused, but
yeah.
I mean, I've got a link. I can send it to you. I mean, it'll link
That's all right.
into what I want to talk
Sure.
to in a bit. But there's actually something else I want to say first.
Yes.
What's your opinion on their re-release of the Titan XP?
um, the Titan XP. How can I put this? Nvidia screwed their own customers once again.
Yes.
That's the only thing that comes straight to my mind. Is it a good graphics card? Absolutely. Is it warranted the price tag that comes with it? No. Should have they released the full fat Pascal in the first place? Yes.
hmm
They did that with the GTX 1080.
hmm
So that's the cut down version of what the 1080 Ti is. So they screwed people there already with that. Once they released the Titan Pascal, the most powerful card there is, they released the 1080 Ti that beats it.
Yeah, even though it's like
Yeah,
what was it, £500 cheaper,
yeah,
something like that,
yeah. And all they did is just took one gig of
of RAM
VRAM
off it.
off, which was
Um,
11, which is a weird bit. Buzz.
yeah. What else
Um,
did they did something else to it? I can't remember what it was. Wasn't it something to do with
the 1080 Ti, they increased the RAM frequency. Okay,
yeah.
they reduced by a gig, and that was it.
Is that it? I thought they
There's
added or
less. There's
changed
less
the
RAM.
power. Yeah.
They optimize the power, and they've got less ROPs,
Mm.
computing units. The Titan Pascal XP is the full fat beans until something else comes out. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, that that didn't surprise me. They would do something like that.
Is that what you were expecting them to do?
I, I knew from research that they had the actual chip was capable of holding more transistors, and they actually mentioned that. So when they released the 1080, even though it was huge performance and everybody promoted it, and the first GPU that went over 2 gigahertz without needing liquid nitrogen for Christ's sake,
Mm.
um, and then they dragged and where's the 1080 Ti, and then it came out. I said, Jesus, this is a behemoth of a card. What the 1080 should be. And I said, but the price tag as well with it, not frigging cheap. You're looking at 650 for a basic model. And then the Titan Pascal, I followed it because it's a great card for folding. Richard got himself one. He always wanted a Titan, and he's like,
I've always wanted a Titan, but
Yeah, but I also like £1,000 on my bank account.
yes, that's even better.
I'm not crazy to spend that sort of money. So
He
yeah,
could have saved himself some money. He spent £600 on a 1080 Ti, and it would have done the exact same thing.
and I think the big slap is for the people that bought either the 1080 Ti or the Pascal beforehand, knowing that they had the most powerful graphics card within a couple of months.
Yeah.
That's, from the PC Master Race. It's not a Titan XP. You know,
Yeah. Yeah, Titan X little P.
What's your thoughts when you heard it? What's your thoughts?
I was just like, yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. I just couldn't really wrap my head around why they would do it in that manner, like re-releasing the Titan XP again. It doesn't really make sense. Because I know it was a Titan X, and everyone just dubbed it the Titan XP because of the Pascal architecture.
And then they went on and named it XP. Ooh,
yeah.
I
say, have you got a drink now?
Yeah, it's just the
way. But yeah, I wasn't surprised at all. I was when the benchmarks started coming out to do with the 1080 Ti. I was quite surprised at how good it was compared to the Titan XP. And I was like, well, they can't just leave it like that. And then, lo and behold, was it a few weeks later, it was announced that the Titan XP was coming out at the same price point as the Titan X that was before.
Yeah.
It was like, yeah, no. I mean, I love Nvidia. I mean, I'll always be an Nvidia fanboy, but it was a low blow. It was definitely a low blow to those who had already bought, all those cards before. And again, I knew it was coming with AMD, but the price drops as well kind of screwed a few people over, like myself, who bought the 1080. I think it was about 2 months before the price drops happened.
Yeah, but then...
And they're about £100 cheaper.
Prices dropped, but because of the delay, this is what people... Even though the 1080 Ti was launching back in March, there was hardly any cards available for months. And the reason I know this is dealing with the Tokiwoki forum, loads of people pre-ordered. There was a few cards available. They were snapped up within hours. And then there was huge delays from the manufacturers. It wasn't overclockers or a scan. Nobody had anything. If you follow stock.net, it tracks stocks all over the country, in any country, any stores that actually have stock. And there was nothing, just pre-order. You could buy the Founders Edition directly from Nvidia. They got plenty, right? And the reason for that was that the demand for them was so huge, they actually delayed delivery of the actual chips that the manufacturers use to make the 1080 Ti's. And hence there's been a big delay. It's only now that you see stores kind of fully stocked up with all the models. They didn't even have the specs. So people were ordering cards without knowing the base clock frequencies or the RAM frequencies. There was just to be confirmed across everywhere. And I said, hold on, you just landed like 700 quid on a card you don't even know. And yeah, you
don't know how it's going to perform, and you're throwing money at it already.
Yeah, and that's why I've been helping loads of people. I said, following the GTX 1080 on that same models, you're probably looking at Zotac Extreme, the Gigabyte that you have, Extreme, or the G1, KF82. So yeah, then after that, and seeing what AMD had to offer, did you see the launch of the RX 580?
Yeah.
What's your personal opinion on that?
It's just a rebrand of the 400 series, isn't it? The RX 480. It's just the exact same architecture, just optimized, really, isn't it? Isn't that what it is? Yeah. I didn't pay too much attention to it. I mean, in a way, it's a good thing because it's coming in cheaper. It's the same thing, more efficient, just cheaper. But it's going to confuse people who don't really know, who may not know what it is they're buying. Right. They think, oh, they're buying, another generation of a graphics card. But no, you're buying the exact same thing, just a little bit.
Just to let you know, this is a trick that's been done by Nvidia AMD
Yeah.
for years.
Mm.
What surprised me was that somebody who had the RX 480 flashed their 480 with the buyers from a 580,
Yeah.
and it acted and performed with the efficiency of a 580 without buying a
Really?
card. Because it's the
Really?
same card. That's the
Yeah, it's the
thing.
same architecture. It's the exact same thing.
And they AMD said, "Oh no, don't do it, don't do it." And if you
Mhm.
go on the forums, there's loads of people who said, "Oh, thanks for the free card." You know, there's a little boost, probably I think 10-15%
Yeah, it's not a
improvement
lot,
on
but
efficiency, temperatures, and performance, and a few more megahertz, but it was free. You know,
yeah,
so
it's a bit like a free overclock.
so that was for me a bit of a oh. After the success of the Ryzen, I know you said you wanted to talk about Ryzen.
Yeah, a little bit.
I thought there was after all this lovely crazy train that's been in the last year, this last 5 months in tech, and it was just like, okay, expected a bit more from that, but hey ho. Anyway,
No, Ryzen's pretty good. I think Ryzen's filled that gap that it's needed to fill. It's Yeah, sure, it's not a generation ahead of anything Intel's doing at the moment, but it's matching and it is beating a lot of the Intel stuff, going by the performance benchmarks we've seen, and it's a lot cheaper. I mean,
yeah,
yeah,
it's not.
sure, I do agree with what Richard said. There is the reliability of an Intel because they just go for donkey's ages, and even now you could still buy, was it a i5 2500
Mhm,
CPU
mhm,
for like £100 or cheaper even, and they still play modern games
yeah,
quite efficiently.
yeah. Uh,
That's Is that a 5-year-old CPU now? 4 or 5 years old? I forget how old it
Probably,
is.
yeah. That's going back to soccer 11, 11,
Fif-
53,
56?
56, sorry, yeah.
Is it 56?
53 or 56 or something like that.
Uh,
But,
Might be getting it confused with mine because I think mine's a 3000 series
yeah.
Intel.
Ryzen to me, apart from the RAM optimization being
Mm.
a fantastic launch, Ryzen 5, fantastic value for money
Yeah,
for
because
its
that's still like
performance.
8 core, 16 thread,
Yeah,
isn't it?
you know, the 1600, not even the X, this was basic 1600, fantastic value. If you're a gamer, streamer, or video editor, and you want something that does the job efficiently, brilliant. I know that AMD's done a lot of work with memory manufacturers, with the likes of Corsair, Kingston, um, because a lot of people were having issues of getting their high frequencies kits like 3200 DDR4 running on the AM4 platform. And people got to remember, this is a brand new architecture. So there's nothing being ever done like this, and it's been hush hush and then big explosion of media. So working, it's going to take time for that technology to mature. So a lot of manufacturers updated BIOSes on their websites. What intrigues me is both the reaction of Intel and AMD. Now that AMD has now have the Ryzen 7, Ryzen 5, Ryzen 3s, yeah. Intel's answer to that, after all these years, we're going to bring in an i9.
Yeah, I was just typing that out. I was going to remind myself to talk about it. Yeah.
So what does AMD says? We have a Ryzen 9, which
Yeah,
is
it's 16 cores, 32 threads. It's ridiculous.
I leave that to you because when I saw that
Mm.
and I saw the power consumption of the Intel 140 watts or whatever TDP, and I think how much cheaper is the Ryzen 9 going to be versus a Intel i9? Because
Mm.
if the Ryzen 7 is half the price of a i7 6900K, and that is the full beams, 16 threads, full beams, the 1800X, how much is it going to be? And do
Yeah.
we need that many cores? for gaming.
As for gaming, and even for a workstation, like mine tends to be from time to time. It's not always a workstation; it's more gaming at the moment. You don't need that many cores. It's mostly, I would say, you need that many cores for like a server. You know, as you got server boards yourself, you'd have multiple chips on the same motherboard, and they would have, you'd have a server with 16 cores, 32 threads in each CPU, just because it can handle all these tasks that have been thrown at it. That's what it's for. It's not really meant for the main consumer. They're pricing it, in the price point for a main consumer, just so you can say, look, I've got all these processing cores. I mean, who's to say in 10 years time that that will be the standard of every single CPU, and everyone like 4 cores? That's ancient. That's dinosaur technology. You can't even run a modern game on that.
As Richard would say, you peasant. A quad. For gaming, if you've got either an Intel or AMD, I'll still say a quad core is sufficient. The reason I say that, for years, for the last 5 years, they've been saying, since they started pumping extra cores, since the quad core, game developers will develop games that utilizes, all the cores. So far, I know of one game that does that, and it's that Ashes of Singularity that utilizes all the cores.
I mean, even City Skylines, which I see a lot of CPU benchmarks running, that only uses 3 cores. Even if it's a heavily CPU bound game, but apparently it still only uses 3 cores, no matter what.
This is where Ryzen architecture kind of changed the ball a little bit, because they know that games are not being optimized to run as many cores as possible by the developers, so they designed the CPU to share the load, because that was the biggest AMD failure with Bulldozer and Pile Driver 8-core CPUs, is that their single thread was crap. The multi-thread was fantastic. So with the Ryzen, they've changed that. So it divides the work, and it works really, really well. So that's one way. But I see myself updating my CPU for something more than 4 cores, 6 cores, 10 cores, as Intel is offering? Not really.
No,
Apart
I
from
wouldn't.
having faster RAM, I don't see there's no need. I still think the Intel,
But even for gaming, faster RAM only adds 2-3 frames a second. For gaming, it is pointless. For productivity, it's good, but for gaming, it's pointless.
Adobe, yes, you'll see a big difference. But then with Ryzen CPUs, they do like that high bandwidth that's offered by the high frequencies. For me, I still think the 6700K by Intel is still a fantastic CPU. The 7700K is, on the forums I've been dealing with, still one of the most popular favorites, just because of that high single thread IPC.
Yeah, because it's a high clock speed, isn't it?
Yeah. And a lot of people been deleting them, taking the lids off, removing the shitty tin that Intel's put them on them, and they reduce the temperatures ridiculous. Some guy was saying, it reduced my temperature by 25 degrees.
Wow.
25 degrees. So he said he overclocked it to 5 gigahertz. It's reaching 89 degrees under load on the Prime 95. He delivered it, and he put some liquid, Collie Labs liquid thermal under it, resealed it, and he said temperatures dropped 25 degrees. And he had the screenshot to prove it. And I thought, wow.
That's crazy. Why would Intel be using shitty thermal paste on their own CPUs? That'd be part.
Same question. That's why would they not include a cooler with a full retail box of that CPU in the first place? They've done that before. With the
they're still charging the same amount or more.
That's been an interesting CPU battle. But I don't know. Will you convert, if you had the financial capabilities, would you convert to AMD Ryzen?
If I had the money right now, it was just given to me and saying, get any kind of AMD, I would. If I had the money of my own back, and I was looking to upgrade, then I would probably actually would, to be honest. But it's still, to me, the kind of upgrade that's going to be making worth it is still going to be about £500 ballpark area. I haven't actually looked into pricing properly, my own bad. But you know, for a motherboard, it's probably going to cost anywhere between £50 and £100 for a motherboard. The biggest thing for pricing at the moment is RAM. RAM prices have skyrocketed.
Yeah.
Skyrocketed. So that's going to be the biggest thing. So that's going to be at least £100 for probably about a 60 gig kit.
Yeah.
But I would want to upgrade to 32.
DDR3 kit.
Yeah. Yeah.
DDR4
I would want to upgrade to 30. If I'm going to make an upgrade, I would want to go to 32 gigs. So that's going to be at least £150 to £200. It's ridiculous amounts of money for RAM. That's just the RAM. And the CPU probably be about 200. Yes, so it's going to be about £500 upgrade on its own, and I don't have that kind of money off my own back.
A Ryzen 7 system, and I've virtually put together some specs for people. Average with a SSD for the operating system, a terabyte hard drive, and a decent silver or gold power supply case. The works. Just the actual PC itself. You're talking near a grand new. If you even drop the model, save a couple £100, but you're talking about 800 scraping for a decent system with a Ryzen. You try to do that with an Intel on the same caliber, say X99 platform with an i7. Forget it. Even if you put just ridiculous. I'm still thinking. I thought that the prices would go down by Intel, but
no.
I think the only thing I saw this month is a lot of retailers stocking 4790Ks on the 1150 platform. They stopped selling it. End of life stock, apparently, including overclockers. You can get the 4790, but not the K anymore.
So you couldn't get my CPU anymore, the 3770K.
You can get them. You can get them on eBay, but major retailers, e.g., Scan.co.uk, overclockers, Novatech. All of a sudden, just like because they want to prepare themselves for the new chipset that's going to come out, the X299.
Is that later in the year?
Who knows?
Who knows? I haven't been paying attention to that.
Different socket altogether, different CPUs, 10 core, 12 core. I'm at a loss with it.
Yeah. Well, time will tell. We'll see where they go with it. I mean, well, my boss at work asked me because he was a bit tech savvy, and he said, "I've got £500. Build me a computer." Pretty much, not in those words, but that's pretty much what you gave me. And I was like, "Fuck, I can't really build him a computer for £500 that he wants because he wants ones for gaming." And I'm like, "That ain't gonna cut it unless I use second-hand parts. That ain't gonna cut it."
That didn't cost £500, mate.
How much?
I know you probably can't see that.
Is that your? Yeah, isn't that the one you made for your boy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I probably missed my camera.
Yeah, but it's all second-hand parts as well, isn't it? Yeah. That's what I mean. Unless
believe it or not, the only thing that's actually new is the actual case because I needed to get a mini ITX case, and you chose it. You chose the color, and then I got it. And I said, "Bloody hell, this thing is tiny." It's like, not kidding. My hand's just taller than the frigging case, like that.
Really?
Yeah.
No,
not kidding you.
Can't see. Not too well on the camera.
Yeah. For me, second-hand parts for systems is probably the best value.
If I am going to do it for him, Grant, he's got to give me the money. Granted, he was trying to say if I sell you. Or if I give you a PS4 to sell, would that pay for the PC? And I was like, no, you may as well just keep the PS4.
It depends. For typical question, right? Exactly the scenario. Someone says, budget of £500, I want a gaming PC. What's the first question that you ask?
What kind of games are you going to be playing?
Yeah.
That's a question I would ask.
Yeah.
What would you ask?
I would ask what monitor resolution you're going to play at. That will dictate.
Yes, there is that. That would just take the graphics card you would get, but I would also say for him, being he doesn't really know what he's getting, he's probably just running a standard HD TV, which will probably be 1080p.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah, that's the question I always ask. Someone says, "Oh, I want a gaming PC that can play high settings." First question: one, what's your budget? Two, what monitor resolution are you going to play?
Yeah.
That'll dictate what GPU you're going to need, and also the power supply that you're going to feed it to. That's like two of the most expensive, second to the CPU and motherboard, two of the most expensive components on any build. So you can save a lot of money just getting that right.
Because one thing I've been looking at as well, it's more for my sister, because my sister's running my old AM3 platform CPU that I had before.
Okay.
It's kind of like a hand-me-down. It was the Phenom 2 3-core CPU that I managed to unlock the fourth core on.
I remember you telling me.
And I've been looking. Well, if she had the money, if she had to say about 120 quid or so, could she get a decent enough upgrade from that platform to make it worthwhile? And I was looking on eBay for like RAM kits as bundled with CPUs and motherboards, and she could get for around 120 quid, depending on where you go, obviously. Secondhand, you could get a i5 to 2500, CPU with RAM. I think it's at least 8 gigs, and everything, motherboard as well. And that's all she would need, because she's got a GTX 660 in her system, which is still, it's not an amazing card, but it can play anything. It can play anything that's out at the moment.
This is the third generation, because we started building in a black case, then the model wouldn't fit, then I did them AMD FM2, and then we went to an Asus 1150. But yeah, he had a 550 Ti, little card, brilliant.
Oh really?
Yeah, brilliant.
550.
Yeah, 550.
I mean, you say he only plays Minecraft, really?
Yeah, mainly. But now I've linked my Steam account to his, and now he's got access to certain games and driving games and stuff. And that GTX 680, it's an old card, 600 series, but it's a 4 gig version.
So it'll play anything pretty much.
All good. So he's happy as Larry. So.
Whilst we're on the topic of graphics cards, I've written it down here. Go from the high end. I'm talking about Ryzen and everything. Go down to the low end. Did you see that Nvidia launched the GT 1030?
I heard something about it. I don't know the specs or anything. Like I said, I've not paid attention.
Off the top of my head, the specs, they come in a 2 gig or 4 gig flavor. I think probably going to mostly just be 2 gig, I would have thought, at the price range. It's about 70 quid's worth of graphics card as well, if I remember correct. It's got a 1300 or maybe even a 1400 megahertz base clock, and then it boosts up to about 1600 roughly, depending on the cooling. And going by the benchmarks that I saw today, because I saw a video on it today, Random Gaming in HD, always check out that channel, because he's always got like low end cards, like an older and newer stuff, and always testing against modern games. It basically fills the gap of the 750 Ti, the 750 and the 750 Ti. Oh. That's the sort of performance you're looking at.
That's interesting.
So it will play games like The Witcher, but it will play it on like low settings, but it will play them.
So
or maybe even up to medium.
Is this card more like an esports card?
I would say, because he played it on like Dota, and what was the other one? Because you could play at 1080p and get 60 FPS in Dota on that card. But it was a low profile. It's like, you don't need an extra power supply. It's like small, like the low profile.
70 watts pulled from the motherboard PSI slot.
So yeah.
That's interesting, because I thought the main card for like esports and whatever, somebody that's on budgets is 1050, GTX 1050. Don't even bother with it.
That's what we got downstairs actually. Never actually discussed this on my channel. I was going to do it. It was over Christmas. We got it over Christmas for Paul, my father-in-law. He had, what did he have in it before? I think it was like a 630, like a GT6. It was useless for gaming, basically.
But at least you'll be able to browse internet and whatever through it.
Yeah, that's what. Because the PC already had decent specs in it. It had at least 8 gigs of RAM. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. It had an Intel i5 processor in it. I forget exactly what one, but it's an i5, so it's good anyway. So yeah, that's 8 gigs Intel i5. All you needed was a graphics card, and it was a Dell pre-built system, so I had a pretty shitty power supply that would literally only supply enough power to run the components that were in it. You can barely upgrade stuff unless you upgrade the power supply. So I made the choice to go with the 1050, not the 1050 Ti, the 1050 for the price and the power consumption as well. Even though the 1050 Ti is the same, but it was above our price range at the time because we were shopping around Christmas time. And yeah, he plays the train simulator. I forget which version it is, but the latest train simulator game, he loves it. Plays it like highest settings at 1080p. It's a good card if you can afford it. It's a good card.
If you're sticking at 1080p, then there's not much point going above a 1060. 1050 is fine.
But I got a 1080 in mine, and I still play games on 1080p. But it's because I like having that headroom of like there's not going to be any stuttering or anything. That's mostly why. Because I'm starting to realize there's not much difference between having everything turned on, including all the anti-aliasing, and then turning off the anti-aliasing but bumping up the resolution. The performance hit is pretty much identical, or getting that way. I think it's because I don't actually have a monitor that's genuine 1440p. I think that would be different.
What's your refresh rate of your monitor?
60 hertz.
Yeah, same here. So there's not much point. That for me, for 1080p, GTX 1080 is absolutely overkill because.
But in a way, I wanted that because it would last me a while. I wouldn't need to upgrade for a while. Probably at least another 2-3 generations down the line. I would have thought. I'm hoping.
Who would have thought that you have a more powerful and updated GPU than I am currently running? I'm still on.
Yeah, but aren't you still? Yeah, but don't you have it in SLI?
No, I'm down to 1.
No.
I took SLI
No, you're down to 1.
I took SLI off because the games that I use SLI for, it's just not optimized properly. I would play a game for about half an hour, brilliant, great, and for me now, as long as I've got a solid 60 FPS on a 1440p monitor, I'm happy. I'll lock it to that, smooth, fine. What I noticed, I even noticed some of my old videos when I streamed, because I had SLI enabled and the V-Sync off, G-Sync off, even though I was getting high FPS, I was tearing, because my monitor can only support a 60, so it was actually causing the stream to look crap.
Yeah.
My frames go up and down like mad. So yeah, because I haven't gamed a lot. I think my boys use my Steam account more than I have in the last couple of months. So even though I've got a rack full of about 6 GPUs, they've been folding away, and that comes to the end of this weekend. That's my 4 months done, and try to.
Yeah, I was going to say you've gone back into the folding thing now, haven't you?
I've been on a quiet, but I've been kind of promoting, and we've virtually now climbed up on almost the top 500 in the world out of 1.1 million. We've been recognized again on Custom PC Magazine.
Yeah, I was going to say you got up to the top 30 something before, didn't you?
We're now 21. Top 21. We were on the top 5 contributor for this last month, and the 68th in the world for the month of contributor.
Yeah.
And that's down to Richard, if you're watching, to the contributions of a Titan Pascal. Because the Titan X Pascal is a beast of a card to fold, because it just eats away those work units. And yeah, I've been kind of keeping everybody updated through Twitter. That's the only main thing that I've been doing, really. The team that I fold for, which is Custom PC and BitTech, me and Richard started this back in 28th of December 2015, there was about 210 members. Now there's 147. The forums, there's hardly anybody. Just to give you an idea, there's a guy there that's been doing for like 11 or 12 years. He's number one third or fourth in the world, just past the 4 billion point mark. He's got access to free electricity, so he's got multiple systems running, like four 970s, four 970s, four 1070s, a couple of 1080s. So he's been folding for years and years and years. He just reached the milestone of 4 billion. Quick look.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so I'm just going to see. Here we are. Team summary. So he's been the number one, right? His name is Doc Jones with a Z. He contributes pretty much double of what we're currently doing, about 6.8 million every 24 hours.
Oh, dear.
Okay, so if I just check. So he's been folding for, here's a summary, since 2005. Okay, he's 17th in the world, right? And this guy has been consistent throughout. I mean, his numbers are ridiculous. I mean, I think our best month we did 68 million points. He's doing 125 million. You know, league of his own. Not a single recognition made by BitTech and Custom PC Magazine.
Really?
Nothing. So this guy, who's pretty much, the contribution that he makes is almost half of the overall total that the team does altogether. So this person contributes to half, and I was like, seriously? And
yeah.
I started to question, is this a team that I wanted to contribute to, because the forums that they have is dead. There's hardly anything, and there's a lot of information, past information. There isn't a buzz, there isn't, you know, when I started it, and then I did it for 4 months, and then people say, oh, well, why have you stopped? Why have you stopped? I said, it was an experiment. I can't afford to spend X amount of money.
Yeah, because you're running off your own back, so.
People on the forum congratulated the guy, and I said, surely there'll be something on the next issue about this guy, because, you know, 12 years, you know, doing this research, he's virtually done over 232,000 work units of medical research for cancer, for diseases, which is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Not a peep. So that's why I thought, okay, maybe I'll finish this little stint, which we've been doing for 4 months, save some money for the next stint, but maybe reconsider, because I'm a member of other teams. I'm a member of QCoin, EVGA, and I was looking at Overclockers. Now, their forum, even though it's a smaller team, very active. You know, they help.
Might be worth going with the Overclockers then, because you're quite familiar with Overclockers as well.
And I thought, you know what, maybe I will contribute to that team, because at least there's some activity. People are trying different things, sharing information, which is actually useful, been proven very useful, and there's a bit of a buzz, you know. They do competitions, they're helping each other out, and yeah, but anyway, that's done. But anyway.
Okay, I only had, well, 2 more topics to talk about, and they're going to be console related, so okay. I know I kind of wanted Richard to be in on this, because I know he would have something rather relevant to say, but the first one, I've sent a link to you.
Okay.
So you can have a read of that of your own leisure, but it's basically how the Nvidia, the post earnings Q&A, Nvidia CEO Jen Husang Huang, I can't pronounce his name. Anyway, basically made the statement that he sees Nvidia as like a console, or because it's basically the way that they were going at it was that the average price that people spend on a graphics card from Nvidia is about the same or cheaper than a modern day games console, which would make sense because it's about £500 or less, really, for an Nvidia graphics card. And how much you're going to spend on a games console is going to be around the £300 mark, 300, 350. I don't know how much the new No, not the Switch. I don't care about Nintendo. What's it? The Scorpio. That's it. The Xbox Scorpio, the one that's got like 6 teraflop, worth of performance in the GPU. That's one thing we could talk about. Everyone always spouts like this, like the teraflops. Is oh my god, it's so amazing because it's got 6 teraflops worth of performance, but that's not gaming performance. That's like computational, performance. It doesn't equate to gaming power.
Point precision.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not the same.
No.
It doesn't mean it's going to push all the pixels and all the resolutions. It's not the same thing. I was curious as to how much a 1080 has in terms of teraflops, and it's nearly 9, something like that.
Yeah.
It's about 8.9.
8 point something.
But mine's probably going about the 9 teraflop performance because I overclocked it just a little bit, I would have thought. Well, I showed you the the screenshot of the numbers I was running. I managed to get my GPU running at a steady 2.1 gigahertz, and it's 11 gigahertz steady as well on the RAM. So, and that's without running too much in the voltage or anything like that as well. So, I mean, these cards overclock pretty well for just running on air, I think.
Yeah, as long as you don't.
I mean, I know you were disappointed, but that's because you wanted to push past like up to 2.5 gigahertz or something silly.
I was disappointed simply because the voltage of 1.9
Yeah.
which didn't enable people to overclock their cars like they did with the Maxwell. But apart from
Maybe it's because they were worried that people would get such good performance it would nullify any future GPU that they would release.
no, because on the forums there's people that actually managed to get a copy of an unlocked BIOS for a specific card that was used in a competition, and
Yeah.
that especially had everything unlocked, and they couldn't get past the 2200 on air or water. They couldn't get past it. Even with as much voltage as they had, they couldn't pass it.
I know people are disappointed with the overclocking, but at the same time, it's like these cards are still leaps and bounds. Like from generation to generation, this generational leap from the 900 series has been 50% to almost double.
Yeah.
So how can you be disappointed with that?
Not disappointed. it just the restraints.
Yeah, but
That
in some ways, the restraints are probably there to stop people from breaking the cards.
yeah.
So that's the way I look at it. I'm only one person, one opinion, but that's the way I see it.
Going back to the original question, e.g. consoles. What?
Yes, it was. I just thought it was interesting, that they were saying that they see Nvidia GeForce as pretty much like a console brand, a bit like the PlayStation or the Xbox, because it's priced around the same, and the average price that people are paying for an Nvidia graphics card is pretty much at the same or cheaper than a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox One. I mean, I think it's definitely a neat way of looking at it, or a different way of looking at it. I mean, they got to take into account the rest of the money people are spending on the systems, because you can't just buy a graphics card and then run a game on it. you got to have the rest of the system to go with it. But
I think personally, the big push that Nvidia is doing is this cloud gaming, e.g. streaming. Now they already had a Shield.
Yeah.
Now the servicing, everybody's jumping on this idea that for people who don't have a big powerful PC, you pay a monthly subscription that gives you access to cloud gaming, which is latest games playing through a system somewhere, but you have access through your PC, and you can play away as much as you can. 20 hours or whatever it is.
There's one problem with that though. It's lag.
Lag and latency, yeah. But there is services popping up in the United States that's been offering similar services, or going to offer similar services, with a huge reduction on latency, e.g. lag.
Yeah.
So I can see Nvidia jumping on that.
I can see the potential of that.
In regards to Nvidia and being like the third party as such into PlayStation and Xbox, I don't know. They're more interested in frigging automatic frigging cars at the moment.
Yeah.
So everything is automatic frigging cars. So I'm not sure on that one. I think I'll be Switzerland. I'll be on the sideline on that. I'm quite interested. Believe it or not, I'm actually quite interested and excited about Scorpio, which you mentioned.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, just because some of the stuff that I've seen looks promising, but that's marketing.
I
Real
think it
life.
will be good in the ways of pushing game devs to start utilizing higher spec,
Mm,
systems more, not just console, but because you got the PS4 Pro, which was pretty high spec
mm,
at the time. I mean, yeah, technology moves so fast now, and then you got the Scorpio coming out, which isn't out yet, which has all this performance. I think it's good.
yeah,
Everyone's saying, "Oh, it's still going to be shit because it's an Xbox, and it's a console. The hardware's locked down." But
yeah.
I'm always of well, just wait and see until the game devs actually develop for that platform.
Yeah.
Um,
Um,
whether they've released those same games on the previous generation of Xbox One, we will see. I mean, it would be silly of them to not do it because have you seen the way they've done it on the PS4 Pro, where they have like a PS4 Pro enabled features, something like higher resolutions and anti-aliasing and all that? It probably would. I would have thought it would have been the same for the Xbox Scorpio, but being that they're calling it a Scorpio, or is it still going to be like an Xbox One point five?
that stupid branding is just ridiculous. It's
I
just
know. I mean,
from a
you may as well just have a new generation of consoles. I mean,
for a consumer that doesn't know nothing about tech and they want to buy something for themselves or a present. You look at the branding, especially like when it comes to computers, right? For example, someone goes into Curry's and say, "I want to buy a computer for my grandson. He does gaming. What would you recommend?" Right? That's what they will say, and they get
mm,
ripped off.
yeah,
It doesn't help. Even someone that knows, even I get confused. Especially with the behavior of Nvidia with the Titan X Pascal, Titan XP, and all that. Rebranded cards like AMD's done with the 580, with the 480. So 480, well, 580 is a bigger number, so that means it must be better. It's
yeah.
that mentality. Very confusing. And instead of helping consumers buy their products, they're virtually segregating um, the actual
It's
consumer.
just getting more and more confusing for
But
people who don't know.
but here's the thought. Just going back to the Nvidia console. Here's the thing. You can have the best product and with a big price. So let's use the Titan XP. We know it's a fantastic GPU. The price is to kill. Now, from a business point of view, the cost to do the R&D to be able to produce that is enormous. The cost to manufacture is enormous. So hence why you're charging huge premium. What's the likelihood of the 100% of 100 people, how many can actually afford to buy that? Versus somebody that would play at a lower resolution, e.g. 720p, 1080p, and a card, exactly like you mentioned, your 1050. There's a
Mm.
lot out of 100 people, how many will be able to afford a 1050? So it's like when I used to work in hotels, a profit margin on a nice bottle of Dom Perignon champagne. It costs you X amount to bring it in. You have to sell it as a markup. The profit margin is quite small. Or do I sell a nice cheeky bottle of Echo Falls? It costs me £2, but I'm selling it for 15 and make bigger profit in volume. And that's where AMD is aiming for. They want that segment, and that's why these cards. People say, "Where's AMD's big corners to go against the 1080 Ti and the Titan Pascal?" And these cards you're going to see, Vega, the prices. They're for professional cards. I would assume that it's on the same level. I would assume of the Tesla cards. They're professional
Yeah, the
cards.
ones that are like $4,000 worth of
Yeah, because they've
GPU.
got like 16 gigs HBM2 stack memory and all that. Trust me, out of 100 people, how many people can actually buy that? Versus,
Mm.
yeah. So yeah, that might be on something there, but then you don't dismiss Nintendo. See, Nintendo, I don't know if you've been following. They've been doing some crazy shit.
They have, yeah.
They did you hear that they bringing? They remember the Game Boy.
Yes.
a company that's actually recreated that called the Retro Boy. But of course they couldn't copy it exactly. So they did the Nintendo actually released, you know, the SNES? Yeah? So
Yep.
they released that, people were going mad and yay, because collectors or whatever, and they said, no, we're not doing that no more. They're all over the place. And then the Switch came out with frigging dodgy controllers, because some of the controllers were, you know, hardware or something wrong with them.
Yeah.
Zelda, the game, got to say, looked amazing on it. I don't know if you've seen some game
I've
footage.
seen some gameplay footage, yeah.
I love the art style of that game.
Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah, being out for the last couple of months and then just going back in and saying, what the hell, what have I missed? Because from the tech world, take Nvidia out of the way, take AMD out of the way, the big company of consoles, of games, from the start, always been Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
Always been Nintendo. They never, they were the original, they made games, and that's what they stuck to. They concentrated on a family segment with the Wii and all that, and that's where volume and the Switch will be a successful console. It will be a successful console.
Yeah, I understand what Nintendo are going for, but I've just never been interested in their product. You know, in the console itself and the games they release. I've tried playing them in the past, but it's just not my cup of tea, is what I will say.
In games, just firing a question at you, what games is excited about at the moment, or upcoming, on PC or PS4?
Good question. I would have had an answer for you earlier today.
What's your thoughts on the Prey? Have you seen
It looks good.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of mixed reviews to begin with when the game first launched, but now as time's going on, everyone's starting to realize how good of a game it is. Do I want it? I don't know. It's along the same sort of lines of that first-person shooter slash, I'd say survival horror, but you know your resources are very limited. You know you have to manage it all very well. You know it's quite puzzle-based as well, from what I've seen.
It does remind me of Mankind Divided. E.g., you can approach levels from many different. There's not a what do you call it? A narrow way of doing.
It's not a set path. Yeah.
And the AI seemed quite clever, quite unique. The enemies and everything.
Yeah. What was the game I was wanting to? There was a game I had in mind the other day. I was like, oh, I can't wait for that, but it's gone now. I can't remember what it was. I mean, I was kind of looking with interested but still reserved opinion of the new COD that's coming out. Just simply because it's going back to World War II, I might actually want to play that for the single player.
Right.
World War II, yeah.
Is it World War II or is it World War One?
It's World War II. Yeah, Battlefield 1 is a World War One game.
Okay. Well, as far as I'm aware, there wasn't any jet packs in World War II.
You say that, there's someone actually released a meme of like, I don't know if I can find it whilst we're on the podcast. COD. Bear with me one sec. Yeah, found it straight away. I'll link you to it. Can I go view original image? Here we go. This should take you straight to it if it works, because I've never actually done this. This will be funny if it works. I would say what it is, but
I'll put that on the screen. Oh, bear with me. Let me just...
yeah, because I thought that was pretty funny when I saw it. But
yeah, no extra jumps, right? Synchronous jetpack from World War II enables soldiers to fly. Why?
I don't mind the 3D movement. I watched a Drifter video today actually, and I also released a video of me talking about COD, and what I liked from Modern Warfare 2 and everything, and what I liked of the newer
I
ones,
saw that.
and I said in that video, and I agree with Drifter as well, that I don't mind the 3D movement. I don't mind the jumping around, the dashing, everything, as long as it's done right. I think out of the two that I played, it was I didn't play Ghost, didn't like that one. I just watched someone play it, and I was like, yeah, I don't like that. But I played, yeah, it was Advanced Warfare,
Yeah.
and then I played um,
Black Ops.
Black Ops 3, which was my favorite one since Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah.
And out of those two games, it was the movement in Black Ops 3 is what I actually enjoyed.
Yeah.
And it was also the gameplay I enjoyed in Black Ops 3, whereas the Advanced Warfare, version of Call of Duty, I didn't really like it too well. I played it a lot, but I didn't like it as much. It was the same with Modern Warfare 3. I played that game, but I didn't like it as much. It was only Modern Warfare 2, or Modern Warfare 2, and Black Ops 3 are the Call of Duties I enjoyed the most when it came to online play. And when it came to the 3D movement, the dashing, jumping around and everything, it was Black Ops 3 that did it perfect for me.
Yeah.
There's also Titanfall.
Titanfall 2. I enjoyed that game, and the mechanics worked really well in regards to wall running and all that. Of all the Call of Duties, Modern Warfare 2 wasn't my favourite of all times. I've never been a competitive player since. Oh God.
I think it was for Modern Warfare 2. It was
The age of
the
25, and I'm
yeah,
38 now, so.
it was the whole explosion of YouTube at the time
Yeah.
as well. That's when it was Modern Warfare 2, and then there was explosion of YouTube, and everyone was uploading Modern Warfare 2 to YouTube, and then Modern Warfare 2 was everywhere, and then there was all these tip videos and everything. That's kind of what got me into it, I think, at the time. Which I said in that video. I talked all about that in that video.
No, I did see that you've been uploading, and I thought
Mm.
good on you.
I'm trying to. I mean, I'm dealing with crappy internet. I was planning a video for this week, but I thought, well, being we're doing the podcast this week, I'll skip on a video this week, and then I'll try and get a video out for next week.
That's fine. I've actually been uploading my boys' channel more stuff than I have on my own because it was my birthday
Mm.
last week, and so I decided to just, forget about me, concentrate on the family. So we went on a family day out in a local college, which they had like a family open day, and he had his first try at archery and rifle shooting, sort of a martial arts demonstration, big 10-foot robot made out of willy bins, and yeah, so a lot of stuff. So we recorded some bits. What I enjoyed the most was the UK extreme team were there. They do bike, skateboard, and rollerblade tricks on the ramps, and he was just like,
Yeah.
when you see somebody that actually is in heaven happy, because he was so close as well, and he could see the guy doing a flip, and he kept asking,
Yeah.
"Is he going to do a flip?" And all of a sudden, the guy just went, "Whoa!" And he was like, "Oh my god!" and landed it. So
Yeah.
um,
That's pretty cool.
what did I do? I'm trying to think of what else I put on it. He actually wrote a list of all the stuff that he wanted in his PC, and that shocked me because
Well, how much he understood what went in a computer.
yeah, I was like, "You're 6," and he started right, and in the case, PCU, GPU, I want an SSD. I said, "What's an SSD?" I said, "Well, it's to store stuff." You said it store stuff. I said, "Yes, it's like a hard drive." He said, "Yeah, but it doesn't make noise, does it?" And I said, "Well, no." I was like, "Fucking hell." Yeah, listen. When I'm speaking with friends, or
Yeah.
when he visits, or when I'm in a shed, or I'm talking and recording, it's like your memory like a sponge. I've got to be really careful what I say around. Like, yeah, but he had a list of everything, and it can explain a water cooling system.
Oh yeah.
6. He's bloody 6. I wish I was that intelligent when I was sick. I was more interested
Yeah.
in sweets and chocolate running about.
Yeah, I was too busy wanting to go outside and and running around in the mud and coming back completely dirty. That's all I was doing when I was 6 years old. I
Yeah.
wasn't too into my gaming back then, but
No, but it's been an interesting few months. But it's been nice
yes,
speaking with you, Mum. I got to admit,
yeah, it's been good fun.
I did miss our little tech talks, and I did
Yeah.
miss uploading stuff. And I don't know what I will be doing the next couple of months in regards to content. I've got tons of footage that I was like. I will post a tiny little video. You'll understand why I don't have access to my PC. Because my little girl now, every time I sit, she comes to me. So on one screen, I've got, I don't know, Teletubbies or whatever, and I can work on the other screen. Then I got my boy behind me, and he's playing Minecraft. So I'm like, I cannot work under these conditions. So I'm not here bashing my keyboard. My mouse is going all over the place. And it's like, okay, I can't do this. You have my chair, so she's like sitting in the gaming chair, watching Teletubbies, going la la. Kids. But definitely we'll be doing some more stuff, selling more stuff as well. I've been hoarding again, so I've got GPUs coming out of my ear. So if you know,
Yeah, I did see the pictures you posted on Facebook. Was it earlier today? Or you posted some pictures on Facebook about the folding again, and I saw the systems you got in your garage.
well, just two. It's just two.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, still, what? They both run in 1080s,
Yeah.
dual 1080s.
Yeah.
So there you go.
That's been folding for 4 months. In addition to what Richard's contribution. But here's the thing: one system is the latest and greatest on an X99 platform with a 5960X £1,000 CPU. The other one is an X79 with a 3960X. So it's a 2011, and they're both doing the same numbers. So for folding, when it comes to folding, it doesn't matter what motherboard you have, it's all GPU bound. So yeah, they'll be stripped and sold on, moved on, and good news, I actually now got a skylight in my fucking shed. Random thing, I was looking for a 4-foot dual tube light. They cost about 50 quid everywhere. Saw it on eBay, and there's a guy called Turbo Gamer, a YouTuber, and he had 4 of these, and he said he was selling his PC or whatever, and for 25 quid. So I bought one of them. Took ages to arrive, but it arrived in one piece, so put it up. So now I can see what I'm doing instead of using a spotlight and whatever. And so
It's always a benefit, especially when you're working on intricate parts.
yeah. What about yourself? You still jamming away, music-wise?
Oh yeah, I've got my guitar right behind me actually, but I haven't played it properly in a while. Like me and the guys haven't got together and had a jam in a while, but I'm trying to, get everything back together. It's mostly just been like one person's moved house, and then a few of the band members are like, well, let's get a few things down first before we get into band practice, because we've got to pay money for the practice room, and it's not all the heads are quite meeting at the same point. It gets a bit frustrating at times, but no, it's good fun though being in a band.
Well, there you go. I can say I've got a friend who's in a band. There you go. I don't know if they're any good, but there you go.
Well, whether it will come to anything is a different matter. I mean, I've already had people at work saying, "Well, when are you going to do a gig then?" And I said, "It doesn't quite work like that."
Garage style.
Yeah, we're playing a garage.
It's like what's that film? Something Adventures. Bill and Ted's Adventures.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I'm sure you'd be much better than that. No, cool.
We will
I
see.
got to say, kudos on the sound quality. Did you record the latest videos in your channel using your new mic?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, you can tell. It is very, very nice. And I'm sure
Oh, good.
Richard,
I'm glad the sound quality is actually coming through.
No, it's like really crisp, and I'm not a sound buff, but even I noticed. I said, "Oh right, you must be done something different because it sounds really."
Yeah, no, I'm just using my Blue Yeti. It's an amazing microphone. It's not as good as one you're using. I forget the Rode.
Yeah.
Because the Rode has a few extra features, and I think the microphone's a little bit better. Because this has three, whereas yours only just has one, and it's just really good at what it does, if I remember correct.
Yeah, USB, Rode NT.
But this has like three miniature microphones in the head. You can't see it's off frame at the moment. I don't want to move it because I don't want to fuck with the sound. But one's good for like full on, face on, talking. And there's one I think if the switches in the back, it'll do all three, and then it'll pick up all the sound in the room, and different types of things as well. But
probably use like a microphone like that because I use the webcam to record a bit of a build on a dining table, and I use the Rode, and of course, like I said, the Rode is quite directional. So in a big open room, you can still hear it, but it doesn't have that crispness.
I mean, if you were working on a table, I mean, you probably would need to like I forget the proper word, but basically like have some sort of foam underneath the stand so you're not hearing every bump on the table.
Yeah. That's why, right from the start, even though I didn't know nothing about audio, I got myself a boom.
Yeah, I got a boom mic as well.
Clumsy when I'm in my desk and I'm boom, boom, boom. And I said, if we're recording or we're streaming, people's wearing headphones will go. Oh. Yeah.
But no, it's a good microphone. It's not the best, but for YouTube and what I use it for, it's probably the best I'll ever need.
Can you mount it on a boom?
I've got one. I'll move the camera. Can you see it? I've got the boom arm underneath.
Nice.
See it?
Very good.
So it's probably gonna be out of frame properly now, but
yeah. It's good.
But yeah, it's good.
Cool.
And I don't have to be right up close to the microphone as well for it to pick up my voice. I'm a good over a foot away from it.
Richard said that the sound was spot on, and he's the sound buff. So
good.
Yeah. So.
Good. We've been talking all this time, and
yeah. It's just like he hasn't complained about it,
well, I think it's because I've got the gain up higher on this one now. But the sweet spot for this microphone is about as far away as I am now.
Well, my microphone is just there, so I left the settings from the last podcast, so this shouldn't have any issues with sound. Right, I am going to call it a night.
Yes, I've got to get up early tomorrow as well. I've got an early start.
My missus is going to work. My daughter's been waking up virtually 4:30 in the morning. I normally get up at 5:30 to work. So
I've got to get up at about 5 tomorrow.
I'm not working tomorrow, but I've got to...
I'm near enough halfway through a 10-day stint. I'm going to have a 4-day weekend at the end of it, so I'm looking forward to that.
I'm sure there'll be some cider drinking on those 4 days.
Well, I've had a beer tonight, so...
All right, fella. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
Hopefully, yeah, it's always a pleasure.
Next podcast, Rich will join.
Yes. I was going to talk about PC versus console tonight, but I'll wait until Rich is in, so I think that'll be a good topic of discussion.
Definitely. And I think Richard will be... he's been a busy boy, but he's on the verge of finishing his qualification for computer science, which is fantastic. So he's busy. Plus, there's a few things. I think he's getting a new car as well. His first car since he passed the driving test, and house hunting. The guy is going places, which is nice. So on that note, thanks very much for everybody that joined us. I'm not sure we advertised we were doing this. I feel a bit rusty. I don't know about you, but I think you've done really, really well.
In the hour and a bit we've been talking, it's been good.
Yeah, and
I can't say for before then because I wasn't paying attention. I was too busy eating.
I didn't cover anything tech. What I'll do, I'll catch up with you a little bit after. So until next time, hopefully, I don't know, Thursday, Friday, 9 o'clock. I don't know what's best for you. We've got no fixed schedule really, but I would like to continue, every week, and hopefully get some questions from people.
For shizzle.
And I'll definitely have some questions from the forum, Talkie Walkie.
It would be good to actually get, hopefully down the line, when we got enough viewers, is get a live Q&A sort of thing going as well.
That would be nice, but I think it'll take a long time before I get anybody re-engaged in my channel. Maybe from your side, definitely.
Who knows? I mean, my channel's a little bit, I wouldn't say dead. I mean, I get the average 20 views per video at the moment, but it depends on the type of video I put out.
Yeah. Views and subscribers, two different things.
Yes, they are.
Right. Have a good night, and thanks very much for watching.
Thanks, guys, and we'll see you soon.